Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Makeda. Thank you so much for being here. Happy 2025. Hope you guys had an amazing holiday season and hope you're having an amazing 2025 so far. Today's video is going to be the 10 best romances that I read in 2024. I honestly wish I could have 24, but last year was just really slumpy and just not the best year for me reading wise, which just sucked so bad. But I hope 2025 will be better for me. But yeah, so if you want to see the 10 best romances to me from 2024, then please keep watching. So I have my notes here. Just to remind me because some of these books I've read like in the beginning of January last year, so I don't remember everything. But let's get through this. So the first book I read was the first book I happened to read like on January 1st, and it was my favorite. And it set me up for the rest of the year because I was thinking, oh, I'm on a roll, and then I just fell flat on my face. But this book is Say I Do by Bria Alipo, I think that's what you say the name, and Skylar Snow. Yeah. Oh jeez. Yes. So this book is Mafia, Arranged Marriage. So this book, I've read the series. This is actually book 3 in the series. I've read the series. Well, I read the first one, the end of the second one. The first one was like a 4-star read. The second one, it just didn't work for me. This one though, I heard Arranged Marriage and I was like, you sign me up. Sign me up. And it did not disappoint. So this book follows Harlow and Benito is like the oldest in this mafia family. So he's like the head, and Harlow is a part of the Yakuza mafia. So he's like of Asian descent. I don't know which ones. I don't want to say. And so this is kind of like interracial couples, and it was so good. Harlow is literally deranged. He will end you for looking at him funny. Like, he is the range. And this was Enemies to Lovers, which was so good because when I say Enemies to Lovers, I mean they fight each other. Like, they were at war, like they hate each other. Fight, when I say fight, I mean like we make each other bleed. Like, it was so good. Like, this is what I mean when I say I want Enemies to Lovers. So if you want enemies to lovers, that is like true enemies to lovers where they fight on each other. If you want possessive, even though they hate each other, they're like, you can have everyone because you are my husband. If you want the husband name drop like that, read this book. Is so good. The next book I read was Bay by Gianni Holmes. This one again in January. January is like my best month. This one was so good. This one like a 4.75. Just a little something, just like didn't make it into a 5, but so good. And I was kicking my feet giggling with this book. So this book is MC Club. And if you know anything about Mmromance, the Mmromance genre, MC Club, really good MC Club books. There are not many of them, but this one is so good. So this is the book 1 in the like MC Club series. I can't remember the name of the series honestly, but I love it and I need to continue. So this follows Bay, who is a part of the MC Club, and Gerald, who is like an outsider. He used to be a principal, but he's not anymore, so he's on the older side. And his son actually has partners who like significant others who are in the same biker club. And so Gerald has been trying to get his son to stay away from these bikers because he thinks bikers bad, you know. So when he sees that his son is not going to like give up his biker partners, Gerald tries to like throw an olive branch on, okay, this is my son, I don't want to stop talking to my son just because of his partners and they seem to be treating him well. So he's trying to like throw an olive branch and get to know his son's partners who are biker gang members, right? So the son invites him to this biker party at the club, and that's where he meets Bay. And as soon as Bay sees Gerald, he's like, you are mine. And they go to the secret little spot in the club and they share a kiss, and it was so good because that was Gerald's awakening where he was like, I didn't even know I liked men or I was attracted to men, but something about Bay, and it goes from there. This book was so good. The caretaking, the possessiveness he made. Bay is younger and Gerald is older, and Bay is the top, and Bay made Gerald feel so loved, and so this book was just so beautiful. The only reason it didn't get 5 stars is because it literally took a dark, almost thriller turn coming on to the end, like the third act. And I was like, I don't know, I don't mind dark books if I know I'm getting it, if I know I'm going into that. But I just didn't think the book was going to get that dark. It involves like baby napping, and I was just like, okay, I don't know, just something about that part kind of like threw me for a loop. I just wasn't expecting it. But other than that, maybe on my reread, knowing that is going to happen, it will go bump up to a 5-star because that was the only reason that kind of hindered me. But other than that, this book was amazing. I love it so much. I need to get the order, I need to get the paperback because I loved it so much. Read it. The next book I want to talk about is Echo by Chanel and Finna. Fina. So this book is sci-fi light, so don't be alarmed, sci-fi light. And it follows Rabbit and Baikal. So this happens on a different planet. That's the only reason that it's sci-fi, but the people or the MCs are basically humans. There are some like advanced tech gadget stuff, but is don't be alarmed, it's not like too complicated or confusing or heavy to read or anything like that. This is in first person or third person. Third person. Oh my god, forgive me. This isn't third person. So I know some people don't really love that, but I didn't mind. Like I minded it at first, like in first chapter, but after a while I fell into it and it was fine for me. Make sure the mic still on. And I really love this one. So this one is very dark. Check it, trigger one. And I mean check it. Like I'm talking dub con, non-con, will not take no for an answer, forcing, stalking, manipulation. Like when I say manipulation, I mean like doing things surrounding Rabbit, because by kill again too excited. Rabbit is a musical prodigy, just like his mother, and his mother is very controlling because she wants him to like be this like amazing, renowned music prodigy in the whole of the galaxy, like she was, and that's not really Rabbit's dream. He loves playing the guitar. Well, it's like a violin, but they had their own name for it. He loves playing it, but he doesn't want that to be his whole personality. But that's what his mom wants, so she's very controlling in that aspect. And Michael, I think that's what I say name. I'm so sorry. He has some cousins and some friends. Their parents like run the planet, so they are very very popular. And this story happens to be in this like college, like this prestigious college. So they kind of like run the school. And but one day, Rabbit is at this like musical, and Michael comes to his musical and he sees Rabbit playing the violin, and he is obsessed in that moment. And Rabbit is like, I don't even know you. Why you follow me? Like, this is so creepy. And the story kind of goes from there. Biker will not take no for an answer. He stalks him. He manipulates him, like manipulates things around him so that Rabbit will always be in his orbit. Like, it's sick and twisted, but it was so good. If you're looking for a dark romance, go and check your trigger warnings. But if you are in the mood for that, it was so good. And I also read book 2 and it was so good as well, but just not as good as book 1. And I'm currently on book 3. I love this series, but they get dark and darker, so that's check trigger warning. The next book I have to talk about is my favorite of 2024, one of my favorite books of all time now, and this is called Whisper by Cambria Herbert. So this is either book 5 or 6 in the Westbrook Elite series, which is a series that follows these elite swimmers at this college. So some of the books are MF and some are MM. I've only read the MM ones, and you don't need to read them in order. You truly don't. You will still get everything. You'll just see like the cameos of the other couples, but you don't need to read them in order. I love this book so much. Like I don't even want to say it again because I'll just keep saying it. This book follows Arson and Prism is a part of the elite swimmers club, well, in the school. And Prism is very shy, very anxious. He has auditory like disability, so it has auditory disability wrapped in this book, which is done really really well. So like certain songs like Misophonia, he has like certain songs trigger him, certain like touch, like feeling of certain things that's very makes him very uncomfortable. And the book starts off with Prism and his other elite friends at this party, and Arson happens to be a DJ. He's a very very famous like DJ for the college, and they make eyes in the party and they're like, ooh, but Prism is so shy that even though you're making eyes at him, he's like will never actually go up and talk to him like that. But something happens where they end up in a jail cell together. And I don't want to spoil it for you because it's actually me cute, but they spend some time in that jail cell a night. And from there, Arson is like, you are mine. I don't care. I will protect you from everything. I wouldn't say I love you, but basically. And this has the best caretaking, codependency, best pet names like Princess. Like, it's so good. And I just loved how caring and just like accommodating Arson was for Prism. Like, he never made fun of him, he never like doubted him and undermined his feelings. And Arson is the perfect boyfriend ever, like seriously ever. And yeah, I love this book. I could talk on and on and on. I need the physical copy, and I cannot wait for the audio, but this book is amazing. I've also read, this is the first MM in the series, Wish. So good. I read all the MM, all of them are so good, but Whisper is just my favorite. I love it so much. Yeah. And like in about a couple of days, Wedlocks is coming out, which is like but the series is finished, but Wedlock is the last book where she writes in all the characters POV and shows us how they are catching up. One of them is getting married, and I literally have the arc, and I'm going to start it as soon as I finish this video. I'm going to start that book, and I'm so excited to see Alison and Prism again. I love them. The next book I want to talk about was a book that caught me by surprise, because this book, I've tried this author, and I've loved one other book from them, but another series from them just didn't work for me, so I was kind of skeptical on trying it. But this book, amazing. So this book is called Romeo Fallen by Jesse Adrian, and this book is best friends, or childhood best friends to enemies to lovers. So this book follows Romeo and Jude, and they have been best friends since like 5 years old. Jude's parents come to this town where Romeo has been living his whole life, and one day Jude's mom carries him to a park and he meets Romeo, and they become friends inseparable ever since. They always play together in the parks, they go to school together, they become like literally like this, like soulmates, like become, but in like a kid way. So they become best friends, and as they get older they share like certain things, like anytime they want to experiment like with certain things, they will try to on each other, but they still never really like acknowledge that, like they never acknowledge that they want to be together, but it's like kind of like understood. I don't know, it's hard to explain, but I don't want to say anything more than that. I will just say the book goes from past to present, which I know is not everybody's cup of tea, but it flowed so well. Every time I was in each like past or present, I was loving it. I was never like, oh, I can't really go back to the other one. I was loving the pacing of this book. It was really, really good. And the book starts off where you see Jude, who has been away from the town, and he's now going back to go and help like renovate his parents' house. And he sees Romeo for like after years of not seeing him, and it's like a very tense interaction, and you want to know why they stopped being friends, and how the book goes from there. And it was so good. It is miscommunication, and I don't know everybody loves that, but I find it, I really enjoyed it. Like I really enjoyed it, and I don't always love that. But in this instance, I really, really, really loved it. And I loved how the writing was like giving poetry, Shakespeare. The writing was stunning. And it made me so excited for anything else Jessie Rain has to write, or has coming out. And she has a book coming out very, very soon called Poetry and Ice. And I'm like, poetry, you're writing from Romeo Fallen, I'm all in. So this book is phenomenal. It's beautiful. The writing is at like stunning. I need the paperback of that. Like I need to just get all these books because it's so beautiful. Read it, it's so good. The next book I have to talk about is Breakneck Hockey by S. Legend. So this book is book 3 in the series. I can't remember the series name. I read the first 2, like them. Like 3.5, 4 stars. They were really good, but this one, it happened to be my favorite one. I will say though, to get to understand every like character and everything, I will say you should read the first 2. They're not bad, but just I love this one the most. But I think you should read the first 2 just to get a good gist of the characters. So the this is like a hockey series. I will talk about the first one and the second one a little bit. It's a hockey series, and it kind of hard to explain. A hockey series, and it also follows like this family of the coach has like a whole bunch of siblings who he takes care of because his parents are crap, and his partner, who is like, you see the coach and this guy get together in book 1, and book 2 follows the guy who coach gets with in book 1, his ex. So that's book 2, and then book 3 is one I'm recommending, Breakneck Hockey, follows nothing to do with them, but the crossovers. I would say readers just read book 1 and 2. It's so hard to explain. I'm getting tired just talking about it. But book 3 follows Casey and Sutter, and Sutter is one of the best friends on book 2, and Casey is one of the best friends on book 1, basically. And they hate each other because they're on opposing teams. They hate each other. They always fight on the ice, and fighting on the ice, like blood, like beating up each other, bruises, cuts everywhere, and they hate each other. And obviously, after a while, the hate gets to be, a little intense, and they go from enemies to lovers or they go from enemies to friends with benefits, or enemies with benefits, honestly, because they still fight and they still like argue, even while they like during spicy time they argue. Like it's so good. But if you like Garden Park, where they hate each other but they hate and do this at the same time, read this book. It's hard to explain because it's mainly just like Heated Rivalry, where it's just mainly them meeting up, screwing, hating each other, hitting on ice, hitting in like by themselves, but also like can't stay with each other. Is basically that. But I loved it. It was so good. It was a little bit long, but because I was eating up the book and eating up the characters, I liked it. But it was a little bit long. But other than that, I really loved this book. Honestly, it was a good time. Not to be a little repetitive with you that's hooking up each other, but still good. I loved it. And this is where I was coming onto my slump, and I was in a slump for a while, and then I found this book, and I was like, oh, finally something that like at least giving my attention. So I was loving it, and I can't wait for the next one after this one because it's like unrequited love, and so these now are honorable mentions, and I'm gonna try to get through them because already 16 minutes deep in this video, so I'm gonna try to get through these as fast as possible. So the first one I'll talk about is Never Leave, Never Lie by Thea Verdon. This is like a modern gothic romance between Alec and Ian, and they have been together for a while, and they bought this like abandoned like gothic creepy mansion, and they've been restoring it and just renovating it to make it look better because it is really like kind of it's going through a lot. So while they're doing that, Alec really wants to marry Ian, or honestly they both want to get married, but I can't remember who. One of them proposes and the other one refuses, and he's like, why are you refusing? And he's like, I feel like I don't know you fully. I don't even know anything about your past. I don't know your last name, and I just don't feel comfortable marrying you until I know those things. Like I feel like the least you could do is tell me a little bit more about yourself, like we've been together for all this time, and the other MC refuses to tell him. He refuses, and he's like, well, I can't marry you. And because they bought this house together, they choose to stay in the house, so they like staying in separate rooms, and the guy who was keeping the secrets trying all how to get the other one to like forget about him and just be with him despite not knowing everything about him, but the other guy is not budging, and the story kind of goes from there. So while they're restoring this house, they're trying to restore the relationship because they basically not together, but they still living together, but they still love each other, so they wouldn't go with anybody else, but they're technically not together, so it kind of like and it just is crazy how the parallels are with they restoring this house while trying to restore their relationship, and it was really beautiful. The MC that is keeping some secrets, he has I can't remember the name of it, but the thing where he sees like when he hears music he sees color, so that's really nice. He plays piano. The atmosphere of the gothic mansion and the outside woods is really good. The writing is really beautiful as well. I've been reading a lot of books with really amazing writing, and it's a debut book, and for a debut author, like she knocked it out of the park. So yeah, I really recommend this book if you want like a nice gothic atmospheric romance. I really highly recommend this one. And even though the MCs are older, one of them, the one who hide and stuff, he can be a little immature, but still really good. The next one I want to talk about is Love and the Legend by Kit Gray. So this is also a debut author, and it was so good. This book follows two black MCs, which was so good to read about. It's also sports romance based basketball, and so yeah, it follows Sid and Ty. And Sid is like this famous basketball player, and Ty is like just now coming up, and he like looks up to Sid a lot. And you see when they first meet at like a meeting, like an interview where they do for the public, and you feel their chemistry like through the screen of the interview, and the story kind of goes from there. Ty has gone through a lot in his personal life, so he's carrying a lot of baggage, and the show of grief in this book is really good. I don't want to spoil it, even though it happens in the beginning of the book. I'd rather you read it for yourself. So, but check trigger warnings because the grief is like a lot, and it takes a while to go to therapy, which especially in the black community is a lot for. It's just have a stigma around therapy, so it was just written really good. There's like black slang, black foods, music. It was really good. It felt so like close to home, but I really loved it, and I can't wait to see what she comes out with. The next book I want to talk about is actually a duet, and this is Where There's a Will, If There's a Way by Jessie Walker. So this duet was really good. I had it on my TV. I feel like honestly really long, probably over a year, and I finally got it because it took me a while to get it because I know it was really slow burn and a lot of triggers, especially with homophobic parents and like internal homophobia. So I don't love to read those all the time, so I had to like really psych myself up to read it. But after reading Exile from her, which is somewhere here, I was like, no, I love her writing, and Exile is a thick book, and I was like, I love her writing, and that book was slow burn as well, and I didn't mind it because the writing was so good and so engaging. I was like, I think it's time to start the duet. So I started the duet, and I loved it so much. It was so good. Yes, it was long, and yes, it was slow burn, but the plot she could see that everything was thought out, so like nothing felt lagging. The story was always going with a new thing. So many shocking things happen, so many sad things happen, grief, like yeah, this book is heavy, so check your trigger warnings. But if you feel like you can do it, I highly recommend this book. It's so good. And again, it's childhood, friends to enemies to lovers, where they were best friends growing up, and then they had a falling out. We're trying to figure out like fully why. And yeah, just thinking about it, like I'm like, but this duet was really good. The last one I'll talk about is Gloom by Lily Main. So this is also book 4. I've come to realize I like the middle books more than I like beginning books of series. I feel like the first books are always them trying to like get their foot in, and by the time they get to the third and fourth books, they always like I feel like it just hit better for me. But again, I would recommend this series though to read in order. And I loved all the other books. Just Gloom is my favorite so far. I'm currently on Moth. I know Moth is everybody's favorite, so maybe that will be my favorite when I finish it. But so far, Gloom is my favorite, and Gloom is a monster. This is a monster like series, and Brig, who is a human. So I don't want to say too much because honestly, things that happen in book 3 really with domino effect into the rest of the series. So I don't want to spoil it, but I'll start with Soul Eater because Soul Eater is the first book, and Soul Eater is basically about the Soul Eater, which is the monster, and Danny is part of the military, and the military right now is like a apocalypse. So the earth is like overrun by monsters, and the military is trying to like tame them. That's what we want to think, and the military sends Danny along with other military men to go and kill the Soul Eater because he has been murdering humans, and the military don't know why he's murdering humans. So they send Danny along with other military men to go and kill him, and obviously Soul Eater wipes out everyone, like literally wipes out all the other army men except Danny. And Danny's like, why did he not kill me? Like, what is going on? And then we realized because the Soul Eater is like, oh, you're mine. And then the story kind of goes from there. So that's how Soul Eater starts, and then we have Eden after, the Reich, and then we have Gloom. All of them are so good. If you haven't tried Monster Romance because you're like, oh, Monster Romance, give these a try. I highly recommend it. These are not just, yes, they are spicy, but it's actually slow burn, but they're not just like spicy monster porn. You know what I mean? It's not just like that. It's like the monsters have very deep stories of, honestly, if you really deep, this series is like outcasts, because like the monsters are people who have been outcasts, and people like judge them because they are monsters, but they actually, but not all, some of them are like mindless, but some of these monsters actually have feelings and actually have like traumas and everything, and I just kind of seeing you just got to get their side of the story. I will say this, the series is only one POV, so you only get the humans POV, you don't really get the monsters POV until the last chapter in the book, which I actually like because you get to learn the monsters from the human side, and you get to see the humans' prejudice towards them, and then you actually see as the books go on how the monsters actually like aren't as bad as you think they are. And yeah, that series kind of like is like actually really deep when you think about it. And of course, there's monsters as well, and there's monster like anatomy where things you never seen before. And I recommend the audiobooks. The narrator is kind of a lot to take in because he's very like animated, and he has certain voices for each character. But once you like the way he does the narration, you will love it. Like, he's so good at it. The fact that this one narrator could have all these voices for all these characters is like actually insane to me. Like, he's so talented. But yeah, those are all 10 books that I loved in 2024. Technically 11 because I did do it, but yeah, those are all. Here's to a better 2025 where I read so many more amazing books. Again, if you have or if you've read any Mmromances last year and you have any favorites that are not my favorites, please leave them down below for me. And also, if we share any favorites, please let me know. And thank you so much for watching this video. I hope to see you guys in my next one. Bye.